Welcome to The Point of View. This is your favorite current affairs show here on ChannelOne television. On The Point of View, we pick the right topics and get the right guests and ask them relevant questions on issues that matter to you. We have a big show for you tonight, focusing on two things. In our main show, we'll be looking at the health sector. The president of the Ghana Medical Association, Professor Ernest Yorke, is talking to us on a wide range of issues. We're looking at the Professor Kosa report on the Charles Emisa death. We'll also look at some issues in Ghana's primary referral facility, which is, of course, Kolebu Teaching Hospital, and other issues about the welfare of medical practitioners who are part of the key engine of the health profession. But before we get into that, we would also discuss a very important, I call it a feel-good story, because the Point of View doesn't only look at problems. We also discuss solutions. And you'll recall that a few weeks ago, Moses Bading of Infant Supreme School came to talk about the role of alumni in secondary education. So tonight we have a good story. The PRESECans have heard what Moses Bading has said, and two very important contributions to infrastructure in our secondary school have been built. I'll give you some highlights of that great story before we delve into health matters. Stay with us. Welcome back. So tonight on The Point of View, we will start with a very good story. We recall the interview with the Ebusiapenyin of Ghana's first secondary school, Moses Bading. He made a clarion call for alumni of secondary schools to play a more meaningful role in the development of secondary education. Let me remind you of what he said before I show you what we've done to respond to that.
Oh, we've lost our way.
Correct.
And it's a practical thing. And I'll tell you something that you must think about. My son didn't go to Fanspo.
Oh.
Even though I'm the Ebusiapenyin of Fanspo. And the fourth Ebusiapenyin son did not go to Fanspo.
The one before you?
The executive secretary of the mobile secretariat, Diwan Akaba, his sons did not go to Fanspo.
Even though it's a mobile?
All of our children went to SOS. All these three people I've mentioned.
Wow.
You understand me? And it pains me greatly. But SOS better probably offered a better academic education today. And the evidence is in, I can see it when my children went to university, they're top of their class, they get the first class, you can see the results. So it's at the children of all these people I've mentioned. When I go to SOS and I look at the car park, I see a lot of cars with Fanspo stickers.
Among other good schools. But
Mostly,
their kids are
well,
not
I see them Fanspo ones.
because that's the one you are open to.
So it got me thinking, that, why would a 150-year-old school with such a rich history and with such great objectives and goals come to the point where it's alumni who can afford to go there, no longer go there, but go to SOS, and then donate huge sums of money, not to SOS, but to Fanspo. It's ridiculous.
They pay school fees at SOS, but donate to Fanspo school.
I tell you, I've never paid $1 to SOS school. Not a single
Beyond
one.
the school fees?
Never.
Emotionally, there's no attachment.
Zero.
Yet, in Fanspo, which you love, the quality for what you expect for your children may not be there now.
I take my son there and I take him to Fanspo events so I can listen to the great stories. So I've answered you pragmatically, right? So there's something wrong.
Clearly.
Okay. What is wrong? Fanspo was a mission school that did a deal with Fanspo Old Boy alumni, professionals, entrepreneurs, and etc. Right? And that deal changed the narrative for us and created all these leaders. And as I said at the launch, it's very difficult to start talking about the great people in the Fanspo because there's so many.
So, of course, secondary schools have big names in Ghana, but the truth is that a lot of the elite don't send their kids back to those schools, partly because the schools are overcrowded. As I said, when I was in secondary school in 96 to 98, we had about 1,200 students. Now there were 5,400. Many, many more students overcrowded. Indeed, Ghana has about 2.5 million secondary school students. The public schools are between 600 and 700. So there's a spacing issue. Well, my secondary school, PRESEC, is answering the call. Two PRESECans have done something significant. In April, Odadia Sam Ado led a group of his housemates from Akro House, House 4, to renovate this house. This house was really deteriorating. I'll show you some photos of how the house used to be before the 1.8 million CD renovation by Sam Addo. The toilets were not looking good. The dormitories. So this is before, right? On your left, you see, I mean, how can students even use such a facility? Look at the beds, all right? And this is the house that has trained some great people. Titus Global was in house 4. Some of our prominent Ghanaian leaders all went to PRESEC. Professor Michael Kwe, Brian A. Champon, Lelit Kwesi Botwe, they all went to PRESEC. I don't know what house Michael Kwe was in. This is not acceptable. And I need to say that this is not unique to PRESEC. There are lots of secondary schools struggling with space for their students, right? So what did Sam Addo do? He led his colleagues from House 4, and I think he finished PRESEC in the mid to late 70s, to renovate the house. Let me show you how the house looks now. Same structure. Check it out. This is Acro House. Looks brand new. And this is less than 2 million cedis. 1.8 million CD renovation. I mean, change the toilets completely, change the sleeping area, enhance the... Look at the showers now. Look, a lot of people will tell you that secondary schools in Ghana, the toilets are not in a good state. All right? So this is one example. Let's hear Sam Addo. He's not saying they want to replace government. What he's saying is that they have a critical role to play, and all alumni of secondary schools must get involved in dealing with what is now a space crisis. When I was in secondary school, there were 2 general art classes, 1 visual art class, 1 agric science class, and 4 science classes, right? That's about 8 streams for Form 1 to 3. In fact, in my Form 1 time. Today, there's over 30 science classes in the same school. So you have Science 1, Science 2, up to Science 30. This is crazy. Here's Sam Addo talk about why he and his colleagues decided to contribute to renovating House 4.
Students, as stakeholders, are a critical piece of the maintenance and running of schools. The government cannot do it all. All students have an emotional stake. For example, this project, we Acrolites slept in this house. We bathed in this house. We had some of our fun memories in this house. And so whereas government is an impartial and impersonal stakeholder, we are personally invested, emotionally invested. So all students are critical, and we should be encouraged, the government should encourage all students to do more and more for their schools. That is not saying that the government should abandon its responsibility, but all students as emotional and critical stakeholders should partner government to lift up the various schools that they attend. So we've been able to raise about 1.8 million CDs and a totally renovated Acro House, and also build new structures like this paradise, and then additional washroom facilities and other things that we've been able to do. So today is a glorious day and a culmination of all the effort.
Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. Just 1.8 million CDs. Less than 60 old boys of Acro House doing this fantastic job. And this is not just about PRESEC. You need to go back to your school and do something helpful. Now, to crown it all, so this was in April, our global president and the board chair, or that dear Dr. Ernest Sapong, we call him Special Ice, he turned 60 early May, and he decided that in addition to whatever he would do to celebrate his birthday, he would outdoor a 600-bed facility. So this is house 15. So it will be Sapong House. I mean, this is such a beautiful story. So imagine 600 new students. Don't forget, we have 600,000 people who wrote BEC just last week. Let's assume even 1,500 will go to PRESEC, or even 2,000. 600 of them can be accommodated in this house. Let's check out how it unfolded with Odadie Oforisapong's 60th birthday for PRESEC.
Your vision? To a very special event here at PRESEC Legon. A very special 60th birthday celebration for one of our own, our global president of the Odadie fraternity, with this 600-bed ultra-modern facility that we're about to outdoor.
so grateful to you, Dr. Ernest Yorke, your vision for the alumni and the things that you've done through your heart.
I am therefore very happy that we have gathered here this morning to commission an ultramodern dormitory block which forms part of our roadmap to single track. On behalf of management and the entire PRESEC community, I want to sincerely thank our board chairman, Dr. Ernest Yorke.
Today is special. Yes, it's the same man, but it's the man with the big heart who has decided to mark his 60th celebration with a meaningful and special donation. So today we unveil meaning. Today we unveil purpose. We unveil legacy. On behalf of the Global Odadie family, we celebrate your vision. We celebrate your leadership. And we celebrate your heart to give back. God bless you.
I pray that as a school, both management and students will take good care of the facility so that it will be useful for many years. It is a major legacy project that will remind us of the work of Dr. Ernest Yorke.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
Many years ago, I walked these grounds as a young student with dreams, uncertainties, and hope. This school did not just educate me, it has built me. This facility is not just a building to me, it is a symbol of gratitude, of responsibility, and of belief in the power of education. This is my gift, but more importantly, it is our legacy. Legacy from the Old Students Union, legacy from myself. May it stand as a symbol of opportunity, growth, and hope for generations to come. Thank you, and may God bless our school. Odadie, in that light.
We unveil in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Dr. Yorke, we celebrate you. And you have every reason to be proud today at 60 and to be dedicating this magnificent infrastructure of a dormitory, or call it hostel, 600 bed, to ease the accommodation crisis of PRESEC and the government of Ghana. To that extent, I say, Aiko.
So are you equal to Odadie Ernest Yorke? Are you equal to Odadie Samado? Are you equal to all Odadies everywhere? And please, let's take the clarion call and build our secondary schools. That's where we form the next generation. This is the point of view, special edition. Tonight we're first telling you a good story about secondary education and the role of alumni. And you know the good news, my next guest went to the same school. Our school anthem ends with taking our places in the future of our country and church. The president of the Ghana Medical Association is a product of the school, and I'll be speaking to him when we come back on a very critical subject, the state of healthcare in Ghana from the GMA's lenses. This is the point of view. Stay with us. Welcome back. We're still here on The Point of View tonight. Now let's delve into health. So the biggest story in Ghana, arguably by the past 3 months, yes, because from February 6th all through to May, has been the health sector. Many things are happening in the sector. earlier today, there was a press conference on Mahama Cares in the Government Accountability Series. But on February 6, a 29-year-old engineer died after he was knocked down in a hit-and-run incident. He was picked up by the ambulance service and taken to 3 public facilities who all said there was no bed. They couldn't treat him. He eventually died at Kolebu Hospital close to midnight. The Minister of Health set up a committee chaired by Professor Ajimabedu Akosa to look into the matter. Prof came up with a preliminary report which he presented last week, Wednesday. Let me give you a quick highlight of what he said or found after the work of the committee.
The key findings. Charles Amisa died of exsanguination, excessive loss of blood due to an upper right arm bone and soft tissue injury, causing damage to the axillary and brachial arteries and veins following a road traffic accident. Death of Charles Amisa could have been avoided by medical intervention at the police hospital, the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, or Kolebu Teaching Hospital. If the ambulance crew had applied compression on the laceration and packed the deep wound prior to transportation, they could have stopped the bleeding. They could also have administered intravenous fluids in the ambulance whilst moving. That would have restored the blood volume. And if in the hospitals they had either given intravenous fluids or whole blood, either in police, the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, or Kolebu Teaching Hospital, they would have maintained life. Now, there were key findings related to the National Ambulance Service. We discovered that there was lack of documentation of critical vital signs of the patient. When they got there, they were able to take the blood pressure, they were able to take the SpO2, that's the oxygen content in the blood. But beyond that, there was very little that they could do. In Kolebu Teaching Hospital, ambulance arrived at the hospital with the patient alive. Hospital failed to triage the patient and initiate stabilizing interventions. Ambulance crew was redirected to from Kolebu Teaching Hospital to UGMC, but they refused. Patient died in the ambulance in about 70 minutes while in hospital.
So that was Professor Ajimabedu Akosa, and I think the big headline there was, he said, Charles Amisa died from medical negligence. There are people who have various views on this. Let me start the conversation with Professor Ernest Yorke, President of Ghana Medical Association, an endocrinologist, fellow of the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons, fellow of the West African College as well. When we say an endocrinologist, what is that?
Thank you, Bernard. But before I proceed, I think I want to add my voice to your call for old students of various secondary schools to look back, go back and see what they can do. It's not been easy. I mean, you recounted your story whilst we were there, and I finished a few years before you did. And you go back and things have deteriorated. Yeah. And as you said, the government cannot do it all, So there are many more Dr. Sapon around who can do even more than he has done. Somebody asked me, and we grow in Sika way. Yes, but he decided to, do what he's done because he believed in that cause, and it is the proper thing to do. And I dare say that there are many more of such kind who can channel their resources in this positive way for the benefit of our young ones and the future generation.
What house were you in, by the way?
R1.
House 1, okay. They are the house closest to the dining hall, so they get to the dining hall very early. I was in house 3, by the way. So you're an endocrinologist.
Yes. So
what is that?
Endocrinologist is a specialist whose area, specialty is hormones and glands. When you are sick, you find that sometimes if you get a sore throat, you may find some glands, swelling. But we look at glands that are that produce hormones. So the pancreas produces a hormone called insulin, which is very important for glucose control, sugar control. You have a pituitary gland in the brain that is a master gland. You have the thyroid here. I'm sure you've seen people with big necks. When it's overworking sometimes or disease, it can, so we are specialists in that area, and we treat with medications. And occasionally we prefer proper surgery for persons who need removal.
So the Ghana Medical Association, is it a professional body? Is it a labor union? What is it?
It's more of a labor union than a professional body, but it is also a professional body. But our focus has been trade unionism, so where we take care of the issues of our members is primus, but we also hold a bargaining certificate to negotiate on behalf of public sector, doctors. That includes medical doctors and dentists.
Okay.
So that's the main thing we do. Of course, we are interested in somebody is unwell, how can we support and all. But beyond that, let me say here and now for the information of the general public is that the first patron of GMA was Osajifo.
Is it?
Yes.
So when was the union formed?
This is 1954.
Wow. So he was a patron of the GMA?
Yes, and he gave us the land we are currently occupy in Kolibu.
So he's part of Solidarity?
Yes. So he's the oldest professional association in this country.
Is it?
Yes. We're quite instrumental in the formation of the NHIA and then the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons.
I see.
We were the drivers.
How many members do you have?
On paper, we are over 10,000, about 12,000.
Wow.
Yes.
Are all your members in Ghana?
Well, you have to be a bona fide member. You have to be a paid up member, So, but nominally, yes, we are over 12,000, but active members, we are looking around 10,000.
Does GMA membership equate to availability of doctors in the country?
No. So there are people who are outside the association, mainly some of our colleagues in the private sector and those in management and, the politicians and all that.
So you don't need to be, so you can be a nominal member, not a paid up member?
Yes. However, so let's clarify it. To be a certified doctor, bona fide doctor to see patients, you have to be registered with Medical and Dental Council. That is a regulatory
So they will
body.
have the number of doctors?
Absolutely.
But there's somebody who's in a private facility who may not be a member of GMA?
Yes, but if he is practicing, he has to hold a valid license.
From Medical and Dental Council?
Correct.
But if he's working in the public sector, it's very likely he will be a member of GMA. Because these are the doctors employed by government.
Very likely.
So there are about 10,000 doctors on government payroll.
In good standing, sure.
Interesting. Let's deal with ACOSA, but I feel like we'll have to discuss other broad issues.
Sure.
For example, this 10,000 members, I feel like Greater Accra would have about 50, 60%?
Yes, we do give or take about 50%.
And Ashanti will have?
Yeah, give or take 30.
So 80% too?
Yes.
So if you take Western and add that, you're probably like 90%.
So Southern sector, we're probably 90.
Wow.
Yes.
So the health minister said to us that when he took over, he realized that there were some regions with less than 5 doctors. I think it was OT, Western North, Upper East, Upper West.
It's changed. The story has changed for the better, recently.
Okay.
When the number of doctors being produced in country and those that are trained outside and coming back, we've gone up significantly. So there's been some push to send them to the periphery. But of course, I'm sure later when we expand the conversation, we look at why we are not achieving that goal.
Okay.
But in the past, you've had situations where the district will have only one doctor. He's an administrator, he's a surgeon, he's everything.
Wow.
And that will mean that he's on duty 24 hours.
Okay.
And you can imagine the impact on the health of the community that they serve.
When Charles Emisa died, you people issued a series of statements prior to even the committee's work, and you dealt with systemic issues, calling for calm. What was your reaction to what was put out last Wednesday?
So I appeared before the committee as a representative of the Ghana Medical Association. We were those here actually, prepared for us to make our points and to also identify the problems that we think have been systemic and also have been long-standing, and what we think the policy issues should be going forward to address them. So I can understand that what was presented was probably just part of the report. I have not seen the entire report, but the PowerPoint that my good teacher, Professor Akosa, presented, I've had hands on it. And I think half of it was about the persons that were thought to have committed some wrongs. The rest were about other recommendations. But like we said before, we risk losing an opportunity to address the issues holistically. And it appears following the presentation also that the media, everywhere I've gone, it's about the doctors, when are they going, the nurses, what will happen to them. But I have always used the opportunity to reiterate the fact that if we don't approach it holistically and just focus on the individuals, 10 years' time, I'll be on retirement, and these issues will rear its ugly head again. So our initial posture was that the findings were unexpected. However, it appears the focus were on the individual, and which we think ought to be pointed out.
Were you surprised when Professor Akosa said Charles Emisa did not die from the accident initially, but he died a slow, painful death from medical negligence? That was a very big thing for him to say.
Very. And for me, I probably would have used that word. Then the thing is, an investigative committee of that nature, it is not a judicial or quasi-judicial committee. So they cannot pronounce on, the guilty or otherwise of persons involved. At best, they probably would say that there's reasonable belief to say that they committed some wrong. And if they indeed believe so, then the proper thing is what they've done to refer them to the appropriate body, who would now go into much more detail, call evidence, because at that forum, I have served on the disciplinary committee of Medical and Dental Council for over 13 years. And they come with their lawyers. You have to adduce evidence. It's quasi-judiciary. We take evidences, we take witness statements, we cross-examine, people even appeal their decisions. So it is at that stage that when it is concluded finally that somebody can be pronounced as found guilty of a certain charge and therefore the requisite sanction. So I think that, that's what the pronouncement, the nature of what they did is what has, engendered the public.
Maybe the terms of reference give them the latitude to get into such issues, in the sense that maybe they were asked to find out what led to Charles Emisa's death, the key causes, and make recommendations. So I think they probably interpreted their mandate more broadly. But is cause of death not a medical issue? It's not a judicial issue, right? So if a pathologist is telling you how somebody died, in fact, if a judge wants to make that determination, he'll probably call a pathologist, because the pathologist is the expert. So if the pathologist is examining evidence and speaking to people, he may feel he has the right to pronounce on cause of death in that very strong way.
Yes, but they were not sitting there as judges, but they were a fact-finding team or committee. So to go ahead and make pronouncement definitive, yes, the pathology report might suggest so, but there's a value chain from what happened, how the patient was carried, what happened in transition, all the three hospitals, what might have gone amiss or were done wrong or right, and then finally to the point of death. So, yes, postmortem, sets out exactly what might have happened, but the culpability in arriving at that diagnosis has to be properly looked into. That committee, for me, might suggest, but then when you now subject it to a proper judicial or quasi-judicial or disciplinary inquiry, the proof is stricter.
Fair enough. But you notice, as you rightly said, they've been referred to, quote unquote, the appropriate hospital or institutional bodies who may then institute a quasi-judicial process, so the Medical and Dental Council. So in a sense, he's put the evidence out there before the quasi-judicial process begins.
Absolutely, and I think you just nailed it. And Secondly, it is also prejudging and might influence the committee's outcome because he's a person of high social standing and he's a pathologist, So
but it's not about he; it's the committee.
There's
right?
a committee. I'm just
saying.
You
want to separate? Do you feel like what he put out may not be the full report in the sense that?
No, I don't think it was a full report.
No, what I'm saying is that the way the report may be 50 pages, 100 pages. He put out some slides. So, is it your view that maybe that was his interpretation of the full report? Because the committee had about 7 members, including different people.
Yes. So the thing that you see, usually I've been part of these processes in the past, and what happens usually is that you don't even mention names. You say certain individuals have been found potentially culpable, and therefore they be referred for further investigation by the relevant. So what you risk doing, if the approach that we did was that you tag the people. So next time, even when one, they may be found not guilty, and even if they do and they've served their sanctions in the camp, patients may be reluctant to go seeing them. Maybe they would have cured or purged themselves of the wrongdoing. And so usually it is not done when names are, out of the 15 recommendations, about 8 or 9 were about the people.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, there are wider systemic issues that ought to also have captured our attention. But I'm just saying that the big report may not have, didn't include that, but the manner of the presentation have shaped the public discussion and the focus is on the individuals. Fair enough. We as an association have elected to support them. I'm not saying nobody is guilty, but we have enlisted the support of psychologists or psychiatrists to support them through the process. We are giving them the legal support as well. And then we police the process to make sure that it is fair and it is equitable and it is just.
All right. I just wanted to ask you around the public outreach, whether you feel that could have contributed to the way the findings were communicated. Because we've had vox pops of people, when the Charles Emisa issue happened, people did vox pops and people were very upset. Sure. And then there's another Abigail lady at the Kasua Mother and Child. And there's a lot of public anger about how health professionals seem callous and insensitive. As an association, forgetting about the committee's report, do you hear the people when they say, indeed you heard the report we played during the Odadia program, and the woman said, they've killed my daughter. Yeah. So there's a strong feeling in the public that the health professionals are just, they don't care.
Well, I think that if you offer service, your greatest asset in improving your service is feedback. And we value feedback wherever it's coming from, either through the general public, our patients, or even our employers. It's unfortunate that sometimes the public feel this way, and sometimes rightly so. But I know, and I'm a teacher myself, and we teach medical ethics in school. At the time of graduation, through the induction process, we teach them. There's almost every quarter continuous professional development activities that we do for our members. And so we expect, and that's an expectation, that they would apply these principles. Of course, there are bad nuts everywhere you go. But I'll just use the opportunity to tell our members, not just doctors, but health professionals, to say that this is the feedback sometimes we get. So I know there are challenges where we find ourselves, but those challenging circumstances, let's do our best. Sometimes it's just about the communication, Bernard. I have received calls from many relatives. You've been there for 3 days, nothing has happened. I said, no, it can never happen in Kolebu. We have 24-hour cover of doctors, and even the least you find is the most junior doctor. So have you spoken to them? They say, and then I'll go there and find out that there's an engagement, but it is not personal enough. So they don't appreciate what we're doing. So I think our approach must also change and lead the patients and relatives into what we're doing so that they can appreciate what we do. Yes, if there are challenges, one, the duty of a doctor, if you have a challenge, is to document, tell your superior, number 2, and call for help. But if you raise your hands, your arms up, and then give up, and then don't do what's expected of you, that is where the challenges would happen. But that's one side. The flip side is that the genuine challenges that we face, we call on the relevant authorities, the government, the ministry, to help us. They are physical in nature, infrastructure challenges,
systemic.
Morale, systemic.
We'll deal with those when we come
hear
back.
You.
This is the point of view. Tonight we're speaking to the president of the Ghana Medical Association, Professor Ernest Yorke, responding to some of the issues in the Charles Emisa report. We'll also speak about some health challenges generally within the sector. Stay with us. We are still on the point of view. Tonight we're looking at the Charles Emisa report and other matters arising. My guest, Professor Ernest Yorke, Ghana Medical Association. You've mentioned systemic issues. There's a sense that the doctors and the health professionals want to talk about systemic issues, and the public wants to talk about attitude issues. So, for example, when I did the Odadi event with you,
sure,
almost all the doctors were talking about systemic issues, emergency training, get a number of equipment. Only the nurse spoke about the attitude of health professionals. But you know, attitude is very, very important. Is there a sense in which overwork and frustration with the systemic issues leads to poor attitudes, right? So they are related. Because you're overwhelmed, they don't have the tools, you feel so tired, it's like, you know what, I don't want to even worry myself anymore. Can you comment on that for me?
But I think you're right. Sometimes when you encounter repeated challenges and challenges that prevent you from giving up your best, over time, you become nonchalant and I deal with them, and sometimes it happens, you know. But I would say that that may not be an entirely good excuse. A lot of doctors and health professionals have mental health challenges, and it will interest you to know that doctors all over the world have the highest suicidal rates.
Is that serious?
Absolutely.
It's not a Ghana issue.
No. Even that, this is even in jurisdictions that have better health systems, as we know. So, you know, and it happens. Go to med school now. There's a lot of students, doctors with mental health challenges.
Wow.
Yeah. So the stress of the training, the stress of the job, the frustrations whilst you're working all adds to it. And if you're not careful over time, your attitude might change. But I think that is why we are professionals. And that is why we as an association also step in, you know, to advocate for the right conditions and, you know, the right working environment for our professionals to deliver their best.
There was a lot of controversy in Kolebu. Indeed, even today, the news center, May 11, Kolebu critical care crisis, acute ventilator shortage threatens critical patient survival. Story by Elvis Darko. Prior to this, there was a controversy over control of labs between medical lab professionals and then doctors, simpliciter.
Sure.
What is your understanding of the dispute? Just explain it to us. What is your understanding of this agreement?
Okay, so historically, doctors, so there's a group of doctors called laboratory physicians. So there are doctors that are into chemical pathology, microbiology, the microbes, the little organisms. You have the gross pathologists, the anatomists that you know, Professor Akosa and his kind, hematologists, blood specialists.
Okay.
So they work in the lab.
Okay.
And then whilst...
so the route to clinical work was through lab or bio, is that what it is like? They may not have done regular medical training.
No, so they have basic medical degree, but at their specialization stage, they do laboratory medicine. So they are laboratory physicians or laboratory specialists.
Wonderful.
And they work in the lab space as well. Now, of course, you cannot cut the wood, you know, putting it simply, the little mundane stuff, you couldn't. And therefore, they train these technicians to help them. And over time, the technicians have developed themselves from certificates to diplomas to HNDs to degrees, MSc, PhDs now. So at some point, but this is a worldwide movement. They think that the physicians are dominating them. So they
within the lab space?
Within the lab space. So there's a worldwide movement to kick them out and say, go into a consulting. But they are not consulting doctors, they are laboratory doctors.
Oh.
So that is the source of the dispute. And they've succeeded to an extent. And now the doctors are saying, well, it's affecting the quality of the work. Patients are suffering. We can't practice this in the space and therefore get us back. Now, the reason why postgraduate training in laboratory medicine is still ongoing is because, especially in Kolebu, there are satellite labs by the medical school that is becoming like a avenue where these young ones are trained. Otherwise, training of laboratory physician would have collapsed. So that's the source of the conflict. And
so if I get this right, Kolebu prefers physicians with specialized training in lab medicine to interpret the lab data and to make more informed clinical decisions.
So I think that is the best practice. If you take laboratory results from one of these foreign reputable ones that are in country, I don't want to do advert for anybody, you can see that it is co-signed by a doctor. That is standard. And you see, because the doctor is the interface between the lab and the patient. So when I was in training as a specialist, I remember Professor Chum Danso, in the afternoon he would come to the lab and get me all the results and say, you can't issue this, cancel this. Before they will go and print and issue them out. Now that you don't get it anymore. There are specialized tests like bone marrow. If you have, it's only a doctor, a laboratory physician that can interpret whether you have a cancer or not from looking into the bone marrow. A technician or laboratory scientist can't do it.
Because even the need to do the test would have come from a doctor.
Absolutely.
So if a doctor is in there, he would know what his colleague is looking for and present the data in a way that can be interpreted.
So that is what is missing. But I'm happy that the ministry has set up a committee. We attended last weekend. They are going to go into it again, but I just hope and pray.
But is there a route a person who trains as a lab technician can use to become a physician?
No, you can't. You have to go back to med school.
I get it.
But luckily, there is a secondary pathway where if you have a degree in any sciences,
like biochem,
you can come and do 4 years.
I get it. But if you are a physician with lab training, they are preferred to head these institutions. That's what is.
Yeah, elsewhere they are the heads.
Okay.
Yes.
So with this impasse, the committee is going to look into it to make a decision.
Yeah, but I just hope that one, they do it timelessly and be fair, and make sure that they stick to best practices across the.
Do we have a lot of physicians with this lab training?
Plenty. Noguchi was one of them.
Oh.
Yes, Professor Akosa is one of them.
Ah.
He's a cytologist. They look at cells, and
so they are doctors, but also lab guys.
Yes, lab scientists. And you can't say that they should leave the lab. It's no brainer.
And you're saying it's a global issue.
It is. Look.
So what is WHO saying about
If I had alerted you, I would asked you to Google what a laboratory physician is. Maybe in your private time, please do. And you find that it's an established profession. But somebody says that you don't belong here because we are also laboratory scientists. But you have your job, and I have my job. If you go to the medical OPD...
Is it pay or professional pride that's at stake here?
Well, I don't want to be misquoted, but I think there are deep-rooted issues. No, the OPD space, for instance, you see doctors, you see nurses, there are records people, there are this, there are that. It's a space.
I see.
So everybody has their function. There's a pharmacist, there's a clinical psychologist.
So this therefore is not necessary?
Absolutely ludicrous.
So hopefully the committee will.
I just hope. We've been there before, Bernard, many years ago, and again, they were physically threatening the doctors. They would take over their car park. They would go and hang red cloths, threatening them. And at some point,
do they outnumber the doctors?
Absolutely, yes.
Wow. So as GMA, you don't think this global movement towards taking over the labs is positive? As GMA, do you have
I think we are partners, and you can't exclude one to the other, and therefore let's be reasonable, all of us, both sides, and let's work together to sort it out. I'm hoping that the management of the teaching hospitals will be bold, supported by the ministry, to do what is right.
Are you surprised that Kolebu is still having a critical care crisis? The news center says acute ventilator shortage threatens critical patient survival. We thought when COVID came, there was a lot of movement around getting a lot of these facilities. The story is quite sad to read, that investigations have revealed that the hospital's A&E, with its medical and surgical intensive care units, currently operate with only 10 functioning ventilators, serving a combined 62-bed capacity.
Leonard, the problem is deep.
Oh, Charlie.
It's not only Kolebu. Like if you take, is it the western side of Accra?
Yeah.
So after Kolebu, Kaneshi Polyclinic, there's nothing on that corridor.
All through to Kaswa?
Kaswa.
Wow. So a lot of the hospitals are even on the eastern side?
Yes.
37,
and then to Winneba, Trauma, ting.
So there's a major gap in that side?
There is. And if you go to even the smaller polyclinics on that are dotted, check their ERs.
Oh.
It's like the size of your palms with nothing. Sometimes no oxygen at all. So that's why people think that we are being selfish by talking about systemic issues. Nobody is shielding anybody. But we are saying that let's use the opportunity to look at this holistically to fix it. I mean, Korle Bu is probably the best place in this country.
There's a view that to reduce the pressure on places like Korle Bu, instead of new investments in big, so let me give you an example, Maritime Hospital, or the one at Cantonment, Bank of Ghana. These are high-end, only the rich can afford. If we spent money raising the level of polyclinics, it would reduce the pressure on UGMC and Korle Bu and 37 and spread the load better. Because the Bank of Ghana hospitals, the UGMCs, not even UGMC, the Maritime. They are not for everybody because people cannot afford.
But we need an audit, you see, and the holistic plan to be able to fix it so that we identify areas that need fixing in terms of emergency care, right? And zone the country and say that this is what we're going to do and channel some resources to be able to meet those needs. But I won't say that we have too many hospitals. No, I can agree about some of the concentration, but they're still being patronized.
So my point is like the ratio, because a lot of wealthy people will get into these big hospitals. So if you want to spend more, let's deal with the bottom more. So that, because if somebody is being rushed from Kaswa, from mother and child to Korle Bu, he may not meet any serious facility until Korle Bu. So you need to strengthen some of the hospitals on the corridor, which may not be high-level hospitals.
I agree with you, and I'm happy about what the Mahama Care, is doing and trying to open up and improve the infrastructure. This is even the Western Corridor of Accra, Kumasi and Tamale.
We haven't even spoken about OT, Western North. We haven't spoken about Volta.
So there's disproportionate distribution of health professionals. There's disproportionate distribution of requisite infrastructure. And of course, people are also ill remunerated. And it adds to everything that we are seeing. But I say that in adversity sometimes becomes an opportunity. And unfortunate as it is of Charles Emise's death, I hope and pray that we'll use the opportunity to fix the issues holistically. One of the things I will call for, which happily I saw in the report, is this emergency tracking system that I spoke about during that year conversation. I think it's one of the game changers.
Emergency tracking system?
Yes, so that once somebody, they picked Emisa, why Korle Bu? Why couldn't it be another small hospital there? And therefore, before you move, you know where you are going, and they are prepared seeing you and all that, So it is good. And I know the ministry is doing something about it, and let's move quite quickly with that to be able to do that. Then my last comment is capacity building, which I'll reiterate, that with the health professionals, and I saw that in the report as well, that we have to make basic life support training mandatory for all health professionals, and advanced cardiac life support and advanced trauma life support training for some emergency care physicians and some selected doctors, so that it becomes second nature. When it happens, you are not going to fidget and scratch out what to do. So at the point of need, you are able to deliver care. And as an association, Ghana Medical Association, we will support any move by any regulatory body to make sure that the capacity of doctors and health professionals are improved.
Odadie Professor Ernest Yorke is the president of the Ghana Medical Association. Thank you for talking to us. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
And we've been talking health in a large part of the program. Earlier on, we spoke about education, why we must support our alma mater secondary schools. Thanks for watching tonight's edition of The Point of View. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.